Zehr Show. Today's date is Friday, June 21st, 2024, and we're streaming to you from the Warrior Healing Center here at the Rising Eagle Studios in Sierra Vista, Arizona. And this gentleman to my left is my special guest veteran today, and he's a decorated combat veteran. He served in World War II era. He served in Korea, in Vietnam. It's Master Sergeant Homer Silvers Jr., and he was born and raised in Chico, California. And he was drafted into the Army in 1952 and went through basic training at Camp Roberts and served 16 months with the 3rd Infantry Division in Korea from 53 to 54. But before you were drafted in the Army, we were talking off camera, and you had told me you first started out going into the Marine Corps. If you want to share that with us a little bit.
Okay, right after high school, a group of about 10 of us didn't really know what to do with ourselves, so we said, well, let's join the Marine Corps. So we all there was a recruiting trailer coming through the hometown Army, Navy. So we all went to the Marine Corps, signed up, and they put us on a train. They took us to San Diego, California. And at the beginning of the boot camp, we had to go through a physical part of it. And they got to me and they said, you don't have cervical teeth. I said, what does that mean? You got to have 20-something, and you don't. I said, okay, what does that mean? Well, that means, first of all, you can't go through training with your buddies because they're already started. You would have to wait 2 weeks.
Right.
And go back and be rescheduled. And I said, well, what are my options? They said, well, you can, like we told you, you can stay and be reclassified, or you can take an honorable discharge and go home. And I thought about it, and I said, well, being 18 years old, and I couldn't go with my buddies, so I said, I want to go home.
Okay.
So they gave me my honorable discharge and sent me on my way. And as Mike pointed out, then in 1952, I was drafted and went into the Army and took basic training at Camp Roberts. And after the training, I was sent to Korea. And I was signed to Company B, 1st Platoon, 15th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division. And as a point of interest, during World War II, there was another dog-face who was signed to Company B, 1st Platoon, 15th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division. And you may have heard of him as L. Murphy, the most decorated soldier in World War II.
And what was the movie that was based on his?
The movie was To Hell and Back.
To Hell and Back.
On his life story. So being the 3rd Infantry Division, I always had a great interest in Audie Murphy because of that. And I had, speaking back to the Marine Corps, I had 2 brothers who were in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
And during Korea, all 3 of us were in Korea at the same time.
Wow. So
I guess they never heard of the Sullivan Act. But anyway, so that our brothers, there's always a joshing back and forth about the Marine Corps and the Army.
Yes.
But
yes.
I don't want to offend any Marines, so I won't go into
that.
No. But after...
We're all brothers in arms.
Yeah, we're all brothers, and it's all good-natured. Even as veterans, we all mesh together now and rib each other about it.
Yeah.
But the main thing, we're all brothers under the same umbrella and serving the same purpose.
And sisters in arms as well. And a lot of women Marines. I personally met here through the Warrior Healing Center, and I was just so impressed by that because to me, the Marines always set like an example for toughness, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, kudos to all the women Marine out there.
Yeah. And so after that, I went came back and I was stationed at Fort Ord, California, as a drill instructor, and we're training the young recruits. And after my tour there, it was time to re-enlist. So I said, well, let me take a look at something besides the infantry. So I signed up for the Signal Corps, and I was sent to Fort Monmouth, New Jersey, for 33 weeks of training in a radar repair course. And after that, after graduation, I was sent to Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico. Holloman Air Force Base, the Army had a satellite tracking station there, so a group of us were sent there at the Air Force Base. And then after the tour there, I was sent to Germany.
Okay.
And I served in the Pirmesens depot, and which was a repair depot, and I was in the radar repair section there, and served there. It took about 3 years, and they were looking for instructors back at Fort Monmouth, and contacted me and said, would you be interested in coming to Fort Monmouth to be an instructor? So I thought it over with my wife, and we said, yes, let's do that. So I went back to Fort Monmouth and was an instructor at the satellite communication course, and then I got us orders to go to Vietnam, and I went from there. So I served a year in Vietnam, 71, 72.
Okay.
And then at the end of the duty tour there, I was sent back to Fort Monmouth and back to the satellite repair. And
did you do that in Vietnam as well, the satellite
yes,
position?
we had the satellite terminal in Nha Trang
Okay.
and one in Tan Son Nhut, and I was at the one in Nha Trang.
Okay.
And and after that tour, like I said, I went back to Fort Monmouth, and I got a phone call from a friend who was stationed here at Fort Huachuca. But at the time, he told me that he wanted and had a reassignment, but he couldn't go unless he had someone would replace him of equal rank. And I was talking to my wife about this, and I said, I got a phone call from our friend, and he's stationed out at Fort, I couldn't pronounce it at the time. And but I said, we're going to retire in 2 years, and if we go out this place, Fort Huachuca, which is right across the street from California, then we'll go on home. And she said, well, that's probably a good idea. So we took the assignment. We got here in 1972, and I haven't made it back to California yet.
Wow.
So after I retired at Fort Huachuca in 1977, I got out and I had the opportunity to come back on board at Fort Huachuca with Department of the Army Civilian in the Communications Security Division.
So you went right back to what you were doing on active duty,
And,
pretty much.
So yes, so I retired in 77 from the Army, and then retired from the Civil Service in 1993.
Wow.
So I've been here ever since.
And share with us, if you would, please, how old you are. You just recently celebrated a birthday.
Last month I became 96 years old,
That's amazing.
and people ask me, how old are you? And I said, well, I'm closer to 100 than I am to 90. But I was talking to a couple of friends. I said, I did the Army service for 23 years, but I can't take complete credit for that. Right along beside me for those 23 years was my wife. And she, as most veterans know, that the wife keeps the home front going when you get these assignments. She's home taking care of the children, keeping the house going, and it's a thankless job, but you couldn't do it alone. And In October this year, we'll be married 69 years, and
Wow, that's
it's a
amazing.
blessing. And our children still live here in Sierra Vista. Believe
Do
it or
they?
not, yes.
Wow,
And
you're fortunate.
and I see them every once in a while. But other than that, then after the service, I had a friend that was a member of the local Elks Lodge,
Right.
and he asked me if I wanted to become a member, and I said no, I don't think I'm interested. And I had my father-in-law came out to visit, and he was a member of the Elks.
Okay.
So he went down to the local lodge, and I know he took out an application, filled it out, and gave it to a friend of mine. So I got a phone call saying, "Hey, you need to come down for orientation." I said, "For what?" "Well, you've been proposed to be a member." Surprise.
Yeah.
I said, "Well, so I got involved in the Elks.
And what year was that?
That was 1980.
1980? Okay.
1980, and I'm also a member, life member of the Veterans VFW, and a life member of the Oaks. But you can only, at the times I figure served two masters, so I spent the most of the time with the Elks. I went through all the chairs.
So you're a past exalted ruler then?
And past state president.
Past state president as well?
Okay. And I was.
And you did something with the Grand Lodge as well, right?
Yes, I was a member of the Grand Lodge Ritual Committee for 3 years. And I've been a ritual judge for the Elks since 1986. And one of my, all the lodges in the state participate in the ritual contest once a year. And I had a friend of mine at Lake Havasu.
Oh, okay.
by the name of Jack Zehr. You may have heard of him.
My dad, yeah.
And when he was exalted ruler, I was a judge. He's always ribbing me. He says, "You're always looking for a reason to find me, mark me for something wrong." And Jack and I became good friends. And but working with the Elks, you're looking for, you're asking what you do with community activities. Well, the Elks offer scholarships.
Right.
In fact, they provide more scholarship money than anyone except for the United States government. We have scholarships for Boyna High School,
Yep.
Tombstone High School, and community service. The Veterans Service has their programs for the local veterans and their children. The community service, like the Patients Pantry, they have a program where they raise several thousand for them.
And I know the Elks do a lot of food drives for Peaches Pantry too.
Yes, they do. One of the programs, the haunted house that they do once a year, is strictly for the raising funds for the Peaches Pantry.
Wow.
And but it's and they're part of the veterans organization within the community. So it keeps you busy and keeps you interested in the community.
Well, when my dad found out we were going back to Chicago one time, he says, "Michael, you have to go to the Grand Lodge in Chicago." So I went, and anybody that's not an Elk doesn't know this, and I was just so impressed by that Grand Lodge. I mean, the memorabilia they had, all the different service member uniforms that were on display, and then they had, like, downstairs in the basement area, they had, like, all these different military awards and stuff like that. So there's a very deep military commitment, or not commitment, connection between the military and the Elks, because the Elks are a very patriotic organization, and they definitely support our veterans.
Right. Yeah, speaking of that, Mike, one of the charges that we do when we're initiating a new member. We're talking about what the Elks do. And one of the lines, we present the new member with a emblem of the Elks.
Right.
And one of the lines is, this emblem shows that we support the veterans. Because the veterans, the Star-Spangled Banner still proudly waves over the land of the home and the free.
Yep.
And because of the veterans, the benevolent and protective order of Elks will never forget them. So it is definitely a veteran support group.
Right.
And we recently just celebrated Flag Day.
Yes, it was a beautiful
Elks.
ceremony.
And the Elks organization is the only fraternal organization in the United States that has a mandatory elk service that you have to do. Yeah. And as you say, you saw the last one, but
Well, and another thing too, when you think about veteran organizations within our community, obviously I think of the Warrior Healing Center, the Disabled American Veterans, the American Legion, the VFW, because those all are hand in hand with the military. But the Elks Lodge, what really impressed me about that was when I joined the Veterans Committee, and I got to find out exactly how deep and how connected our Elks Lodge here in Sierra Vista is to our community and all the different veteran events that you guys attend as well. And you know, we have the first Wednesday of the month, they have the Veteran Spaghetti Dinner,
which is well attended.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and they also support a Boy Scout troop 444, and the Elks, the national organization, gives out 4 awards annually to outstanding individuals who have supported the Elks. I mean, 4 awards over,
the whole country.
The whole country.
Right.
And this year,
somebody in Sierra Vista got one. Yeah.
Mike Pierce.
Mike Pierce.
We'll be going back to Grand Lodge next month, Austin, Texas, to receive that award, and that's quite an honor.
Wow, what an honor! Yeah.
And I believe it's the first lodge in Arizona that has received that award.
Wow. Congratulations to Mike Pierce. Very cool. What a great honor. So going back to your military career for a little bit, if you had to pick out your favorite duty station of every place you've been, where would that be?
Well, I gave this a lot of thought, and I thought about it, and been overseas.
Had some good German beer over there, or German food.
Oh yeah, and New Jersey and New Mexico, but I have to say my favorite duty station was here at Fort Huachuca.
At Fort Huachuca?
It was very friendly, and of course the plus is that it is a veteran-supported community, Sierra Vista, and there's some communities across the country are not quite veteran-friendly, but I will notice recently the whole country as a whole is now realizing the importance of veterans, and you see veterans being supported across the board, and that's very reassuring. Right. And but to go back to your question, Fort Huachuca is definitely my favorite duty station.
So I guess you know why they call it Fort We Got You, right?
Fort We Got You. You got that right.
You've been here for a long time. Seen a lot of changes over the years here.
From a little town to a fairly good size now. I mean, speaking for the state of Arizona.
My wife told me that, like, when her dad got here in '69, Fry Boulevard used to be a dirt road, and it ended at 7th Street.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking, when Sierra Vista Elks first started in 1958, like you said, these dirt roads, the Grand Lodge, the Grand Exalted Ruler came into the Sierra Vista.
Wow.
To initiate the new lodge. In Sierra Vista became the first lodge to be initiated in its own home without a mortgage.
Without a mortgage?
Without a mortgage.
Wow.
It was Margaret Carmichael donated the land for $1.
Wow.
And it's still the same building that was.
Yep.
And but I met a lot of friends there. Some of the Bisbee Lodge was our mother lodge, which means the lodge is sponsoring a new lodge. And I met a lot of friends over there. And unfortunately, the Bisbee Lodge now no longer exists. But
Okay.
I've met so many friends, veteran friends, elk friends, and not surprisingly, the elk friends are also mostly veteran friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a nice community to live in, and to be in, and as you know, Mike, it's a veteran-friendly community.
Yes, very much so. That's one of the reasons why I love living here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, almost everybody I meet or talk to, if they weren't a veteran, their dad was a veteran, or their mom was a veteran, or their aunt or uncle. I mean, there's always that connection.
Right. Speaking of family, I had two brothers were in the Marine Corps,
Right.
and my father was in World War II, and when I went back to the 2017 on the underflight.
For the honor flight, and you went back to Washington D.C. for that.
And
Tell us about that. What was that experience like for you?
it was I wasn't quite knew what to expect, but when I got there, we went out to the memorial, all the veterans for the Korean one.
They had a Korean War monument there?
Yeah, with the 21 soldiers.
Right.
Or 21 military. The part were Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Army, and the 21 symbols represent the 21st parallel.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
and it was very impressive to me, and each one of us has a guardian assigned to us,
Okay.
and so we went over to the Vietnam Memorial, and he had a friend that my guardian, by the way, was from Bisbee, and he was looking for a relative of his. That big monument.
Right.
A fellow came up beside us, and he said, "What are you fellows looking for?" And we told him, and he got his cell phone, popped it in. So there he is, right there. And,
Wow. Because there's so many names on the wall. It's
I guess the highlight for me is when we got to go to the Arlington National Cemetery.
Okay.
So I was wondering why all the buses, one bus had nothing but wheelchairs on it. So they took all the wheelchairs. So all the veterans who were on the underflight
Okay.
were put in a wheelchair. So if you're put in a wheelchair, you get to go in the front row of the tomb of the non-soldier. You get to sit in the front row.
Oh, wow.
And watch the honor guard. The changing of the honor guard, changing, and that was, if you've ever been there, what an impressive sight. And the rigors that the soldiers go through, you just to be in that group, and.
Did you get to see JFK's gravesite?
I saw it before, yes.
Oh, you had? Okay.
And but as I mentioned before, my interest in the 3rd Infantry Division with Audie Murphy, the guardian said, "Come with me." We went across the street from the cemetery, and there was Audie Murphy's grave. And
was it actually in Arlington then, or
right at Arlington Cemetery?
Okay.
And they had put little coins on top to signify that you were there.
Uh-huh.
And I was informed that Audie Murphy's grave is the second most visited grave in Arlington, first being Kennedy's grave.
Right.
And my brother, Donald,
Uh-huh.
is buried at Arlington, and he was a retired captain in the Marine Corps, that was. But when I was there, he hadn't been there yet,
Uh-huh.
so I didn't get to see but I got to have his urn sent back, and so that was very precious to me, Arlington.
Oh, yeah.
And it's mostly military.
Right.
There's a few civilian, but mostly military.
And the civilians that are there had to do something like really
yes,
honorable or
Honorable
significant
to be
in order
there.
to be
Yeah.
interned there.
And so that honor flight turned out to be something I hadn't expected. I got this. They just had dedicated the World War II memorial. It hadn't been there before,
Mm-hmm.
and we went over to the President Roosevelt area, and saw the pictures up there.
Right.
And the thing that impressed me or rang a bell was they're talking about Depression, 1933, and I saw the pictures. Well, as a matter of fact, I could relate to that because I lived in that time frame, and
Wow.
I remember
Yeah,
that. I remember that, and it was quite a deal.
So if you were to talk to somebody today that was thinking about joining the military, what advice would you give them?
I would say make sure that's what you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to be a whole new world, and especially normally if you're an 18-year-old person going to go in the military, it's going to you're going to, for the first time in your life, you're really going to be on your own, and you're really going to grow up. You're going to be exposed to discipline that you probably were not exposed to at home.
Mm-hmm.
And you make it what you want it to be. And normally a person will turn out to be a better person than when they went in.
Yep.
They're more mature, and now they continue on, or they get out with the skills that they had learned in the military, and they could carry it over to civilian life. Or better yet, you could take advantage of your military service and go to college and have it paid for, and your life would go on from there, nothing but upward.
Right. So my last question for you is, looking at Cochise County and all of that it has to offer and everything here, what is your favorite thing about Cochise County?
Well, it's Cochise County. You have, to me, you have a little of everything. You have a community involvement, a veteran community. You have the University of Arizona South here. You have Cochise College here. So the education is there. The community togetherness is there. Family, and another thing about Cochise County and Sierra Vista in particular is the weather.
Okay.
Today we'll say it's going to be at 100 degrees.
Yeah, we have an air quality alert out. Yeah.
but tonight, when the sun goes down, so does the temperature.
Yeah.
And you can sit out in the patio. Now, if you're in Tucson or Phoenix, not to knock those places,
No.
but midnight is still 110. So, yes,
Yeah, my dad said he doesn't miss the heat in Lake
Yeah,
Havasu.
I got to you. It's so, to answer your question, it's a friendly community. Cochise County is a inner city agreement. You have Douglas and Wilcox and Sierra Vista. They're all pretty well busy connected. You go there, you're friendly, you're welcome, and so I think Cochise is a friendly county, and you're never a stranger in any of the when you go in any of the services or any of the facilities that are available, and that's what I like about it.
Well, I want to thank David Dean for recommending you to do the interview with us and setting that up today. And Mr. Silvers, thank you so much for coming in and sitting down and telling your story and sharing it with us. And what a fascinating story of service and sacrifice to our country that you've made. So I appreciate that, and I thank you for that, sir.
Thank you.
Real quick, before you leave here, just a couple quick announcements for everybody. I wanted to let you know that starting on Monday, June 24th at 1300 hours, going to 1430, the Vet Center Creative Arts Support Group will be taking place at the Warrior Healing Center's Military Library. On Tuesday, June 25th, starting at 0900, going to 1200 hours, it's Healing with Art, and it's going to be landscape photos, and that will be taking place in the Warrior Healing Center's main conference center. Also on Tuesday, June 25th, starting at 1700 hours, going to 1830, we have the Cochise Linux Users Group, and that will be taking place at the Warrior Healing Center's main conference room. On Wednesday, 26th of June, starting at 1000 hours, going to 1100 hours, we have the Fraud Protection Seminar, and it's being put on by the Navy Federal Credit Union, and that will be taking place here at the Warrior Healing Center's main conference room. And last, we have on Thursday, June 27th, starting at 1700 hours, going to 1830, we have the Flute for Vets Circle that takes place right here at the Warrior Healing Center. For those of you that don't know what Flutes for Vets are, it's you start off on a little blue flute, and you go through these classes, and then at the end of the classes, when you graduate, you are gifted a free Native American flute, and they're beautiful instruments. If you ever come in and listen to them play, it's a beautiful sound. So I highly encourage you to get involved. There's so many things that you can do here at the Warrior Healing Center. If it's classes you want to attend, you want to volunteer, I mean, the door's always open. Just come on down here at the Warrior Healing Center at 1838 Paseo, San Luis. So again, for Mr. Homer Silvers and myself, thank you all for joining us, and I will see you next Friday with another guest. Take care, everybody. Have a great day and a great weekend. Bye-bye.